Student learning outcomes. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to write an equation of a line, given its slope, and a point on the line. In this example, we're asked to write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form with a given slope that contains the given point. Our given slope is 2/5. Our given ordered pair is 10, 3. Now recall, you're going to plug these given values into either formula. You can plug it into the slope-intercept form or the point-slope form. So for those of you who prefer the slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b, let's go ahead and plug that in and see what it looks like. So starting with the y, we're going to remove y and replace it with what? What was the y value we were given in our ordered pair? We were given an ordered pair, so who's in y's place? Yes, there's a 3 in y's place, and that is why we're going to remove the y and replace it with a 3. Next, we want to remove m. What are we going to replace it with? Well, we were given that m equals 2/5. So we're going to remove m and replace with 2/5. Next, we want to remove x and replace it with what? What was the x value of our ordered pair? So if we go over to our ordered pair, in x's place, there's a 10. So that is why we're going to remove x and replace it with 10. Now remember, when you are plugging values into the slope-intercept form, you won't know what b is. That is what you're going to be solving for. So plugging those values in should look like so. Now we want to multiply 2/5 times 10. Whenever you're multiplying a fraction with a whole number, all you have to do is write that whole number as a fraction by writing it over 1. So 10 over 1 is how you would write that fraction. So that would mean that in the numerator, you're going to have 2 times 10, which is 20. And in the denominator, you're going to have 5 times 1, which is 5. And what is 20 divided by 5? You got it. It's 4. One last step, and we'll have b all by itself. What do I need to do? Yes, we have to subtract 4 from each side. And when we do so, we will see that b will equal -1. And now let's put everything together in y equals mx plus b form. So that would be y equals, we already were told from the beginning that m is 2/5, so y equals 2/5 x. Always put an x behind the slope. We just found out that b is -1, so putting it all together, our line is y equals 2/5 x minus 1. For those of you who prefer the point slope form, remember, never plug any values into the x and y by themselves. You're going to plug your ordered pair into the sub 1 points. So we're going to remove y sub 1 and replace it with, yes, a 3, because 3 is your y value. We're going to remove x sub 1 and replace it with what? Yes, we're going to replace it with 10 because 10 is my x value that was given. And lastly, we're going to remove m and replace it with what? Yes, we were told that m equals 2/5. So when we plug the given values in, it's going to look like so. Let's go ahead and use the distributive property. That's 2/5 times x equals 2/5 x. 2/5 times -10 is -20 over 5. -20 over 5 is going to be -4. Last step to getting y all by itself, we need to add 3 to each side, and when we do so, we have the same exact answer we did using the slope-intercept form. Our line then is y equals 2/5 x minus 1. And there you have it. Now, what if we were asked to write our answer in standard form? Recall, standard form is where x is first, then y, and then the constant number is by itself on the right side. So all we need to do to get this in standard form is to move the 2/5 x from the right side over to the left side. And to do so, we have to do the opposite. The opposite of positive 2/5 x is negative 2/5 x. Now, this is not the correct form for standard form because recall, with standard form, the coefficient of x cannot be a fraction or a negative, and in this case, it is both. And so if it is both, what you're going to do is, whatever the denominator is, you're going to take the negative of that so that you can make the coefficient of x a positive. So we're going to multiply all parts of the equation by -5. And again, the reason we multiplied by -5 instead of +5 is because we want our coefficient of x to be a positive number and not a negative number. And so here, for the first term, a negative multiplied with a negative is going to be a positive there. Because when we cancel out those 5s, we're going to be left with positive 2x. And then multiplying a positive y with a -5 is going to give me -5y. For the last term, a negative and a negative is going to give me a +5. So our standard form then is going to be 2x minus 5y equals 5. And that is the correct standard form of this equation.